This week I'm talking about divorce. Yikes. I'm a 2-time champ. Yep. Been there, done it. I did 2 in the matter of 13 years. Do I hold the record? Probably not. But anyway, I know what I speak of through the lens of Nina Zapala, as usual. But what really caught me and what really made me want to talk about this in more depth is like I came across this YouTube video, and it was Nicole Kidman, and she said something, and she was, in front of all the photographers. She was like, "Yeah, it's Nicole Kidman," and she looks gorgeous. And but she turned just for a moment, and I just saw that whole demeanor drop out. Like she just dropped out, and then she went back in, like, "Oh hi, I'm back again," But for that split second, I saw that, and I recognized that, because that's what I did. I recognized that in me. I saw it, and I was like, "Oh." And then, since, I clicked on one video, I got all the divorce news. I was like, oh, now that makes sense, That's the face I had when I was going through my divorce. So, if you're here today, I want to talk about some things. I want to talk about midlife as a sacred crossroads, right? Why this unraveling is actually a blessing, and on the other side of the blessing, where the opportunities are. I know you don't feel it now. Neither did I. But I'm telling you, this is how it worked in my life. So hopefully some of the things I'm sharing, it'll be applicable to you. And as an FYI, I put all of the 16 personality types on my blog this week. And I give you a little snippet of like, ooh, this is how you face loss, and then a journal prompt. So those two things together should help you at least take one little tiny step forward in this process, which is not an easy process. Trust me, I know. Been there, done that. My name is Nina Zapala. This is a place to talk about spiritual personality typing. It is a roadmap to your true self. It is a sacred self-identity paradigm. A roadmap to your true self. Because my whole being now, my whole calling is to help you live true to who you really are. And my divorces, this is the whole reason I created spiritual personality typing. Because I did what you're probably doing now. Let's look at Google. Like, is the symptoms of mine? Is that it? Is that what's happening? Or do I need to do this? Is it my fault? So you're Googling all this stuff, right? You're looking for answers. Trust me. I sat on a lot of couches. I took a lot of classes. I read the books. I listened to the gurus. They moved the needle for a little bit. For a little bit, I felt better. I was motivated. I was inspired. And then I just sank right back into my old patternings. Why is that? It's because when you're not true to yourself, and you don't know who you are and how you operate, how you show up in the world, how you make decisions, and what your attitude is about life, and all your values and all those things, you can't possibly apply the things that you're learning because you don't really know what you need. Once you start getting into all that, I'm not saying those things are bad, but once you start getting into what you need, who you are, how you show up in the world, you'll be able to choose wiser. Because you know yourself deeply. You know what tools to choose. Okay? Because if you go in without knowing that, it becomes overwhelming, and then you spiral more, and you're like, oh my God, I'm so a loser. Look, they're all going through this class, and don't feel like that. It's not you. You just have to know yourself. So first, get that into your head. Okay? And the blog is going to help. And if you want to go deeper, I do one-on-one clarity calls, and we help clarify your personality type from a spiritual point of view. I created a whole language around this. So it's not like I just took Myers-Briggs, and then, oh, you should do yoga. Nuh-uh, that's not what I did. It's a very deep, deep dive into the who of who you really are, so we can get to your true self. So your soul blueprint arises, and you can start living from that divine spark that's within you. That's the way you want to live your life. Don't you want the magic? That's where the magic is. All right? let's get into this. So let's start here. Why am I saying you're at midlife as a sacred crossroads? So you have to see this turning point, crossroads, as either limited or unlimited. So if you're going towards the unlimited, it's going to be more sacred for you. Because limited is like you're going to keep on going back to what you know. And even if you get out of your divorce, because that's what I went through too, even if you get out of your divorce and you don't change what needs to be changed within you, you're going to pick another partner and you're going to learn the lesson. Your soul wants you to learn the lesson. And you can keep on picking partners till you learn the lesson. Or until you don't learn the lesson, then you go to another planet and you do your transition, you come back and do this again. Or whatever it is. Your soul is here to evolve. And it wants to point you in that direction. So don't do what I do and went backwards and then just chose somebody else thinking, oh, that was them. I just pick a new person. And it doesn't work either. It didn't work for me. So this is where the sacredness comes in. The sacredness is you're kind of stepping into that divine intelligence within you, the God spark. And you begin to create a very devotional discipline, as I call it. It's a deep spiritual practice where you trust in knowing that the divine that created you as a thought, right? That's where you come from. So you're this glorious being. So until you start getting to that, knowing that that's a part of you too, right? You're not going to move forward. That's why there's sacred crossroads. So either you step in and surrender the old and step into what you don't know, but you got to trust. You have to start creating spiritual practices around it. That's why I think these journal prompts are on the blog are going to help you. So when you start seeing this unraveling as a blessing, it is, because what it does is it makes space for what can be. When we're so involved in trying to make things work and it's not working and we feel like shit all the time and like we're stepping on eggshells and it's just not working, right? We're like, we're gonna make it work, right? When we surrender that and like, okay, I made a mistake, this isn't working. I don't feel good about myself. I'm not even being true to myself. I'm betraying myself because I'm trying to make this work and it's not even who I am. It's like I call it the rubber band effect, right? Because here's your true self. The rubber band's here, right? Here's your true self. And as you get in your marriage and you're not being true to yourself, you're losing your voice, you're giving your power away, you're doing everything to please them, you're way over here. Something snaps. Because this middle part gets so thin, it's going to snap. That's why so many people at midlife, right? They just snap. And that's why when all the kids leave, you're like, oh, now I'm really seeing what this relationship is all about. Because you had a shared commonality, if you did. And so that kind of mends those broken pieces a little bit until they're like right in your face. So the unraveling really is a blessing because it helps you begin again. It helps that divine spark within you emerge. And when that happens, you start seeing your life differently. You start getting back in touch with yourself. Yes, there's a lot of work to do. And you have to be willing to surrender what was to step into what could become. Like I said before, you can't hold on to what was and try and think you're going to get to your new beginning or your new becoming. It just doesn't happen. There's no magic in that because you're pulling all that old crap in, all that old baggage into something that you're trying to make new. Well, it doesn't work, right? So after you look at things like there was a betrayal. Well, how did you betray yourself? So these are things you're going to have to look at, and they're not easy, trust me. Like my biggest thing was lying to myself. Because I was lying to myself. I was pretending like everything was cool. And I think Nicole Kidman said this too. She was pretending. She goes, it was a performance. I'm like, well, actors can be good at performing, but I wasn't an actor. So but I was doing the performing thing because it was expected of me. So I just did it. So once you start getting into where you're betraying yourself, you start letting things go, and that's where the opportunities come about. So new things slowly start coming in. And you're still looking at things, right? You're still looking at things that you need to clear about yourself because you're gonna unravel a lot of things. Whose beliefs are these? Are they inherited or are they mine? You know, am I pleasing because I want to fit in and I want to be loved? Well, you need to love yourself first. I know that's a cliche, but it's so true. And however that love is to you, I find love to be joy. Everyone has different words for love. Yours could be kindness. Somebody else's could be like healing. They love to heal, and that brings them love, whatever that love is. So don't let society define that for you. You define it for yourself. That's why it's so important. And when I talk about being true to yourself, because these definitions of where you want to go are going to be defined by you, not by cultural myths, not by societal ageism, none of that stuff, not by your family, by you. That's why it's so important to know yourself, so you can really define these and start fresh and emerge from your true self. Then step into your new beginning. Slowly. It's not like, these self-help 30-day platitudes. They don't work. So I call it lip gloss spirituality. You don't swipe and go. That's not what it is. This is deep devotional work. And you need to believe that the divine that created you, that you are a thought of the divine. So you are that spark of divine, and it's in you. It never leaves you. And how glorious that is. And think when you start stepping into the divine, your divine self, it's full of goosebump moments, serendipity, magic. And I'm talking about how I can share stories when I was going through my divorce that are unbelievable. But I know that was, and when the divine's working, because there are things you could never imagine that show up in your life. And they're beautiful. They're beautiful new opportunities that only the divine can spark through you. You have to be willing, right? And I totally believe that your soul and you, that divine spark, you chose your personality, because your personality type traits are the exact traits your soul needs to express itself into your personal reality. That's why I say it's so important to learn and know your personality type, because that's the voice of the soul expressing through you when you let it. That's why the divine spark is so important, because it speaks to the soul. And then the soul, in its wisdom, and what it needs, its soul blueprint, it knows where you need to go. It takes that information and brings clarity to it, and then speaks it through into your personality, right? So I hope this helps. I know the blog's going to help you look at your personality type and get that little, like, this is how you handle loss. And then the journal prompt's going to be very helpful. If you're going through divorce, I say healing prayers for you and blessings. Please know it's not an easy thing to do, but this is a beautiful wake-up call for you. So you can look at it as a crisis or a wake-up, a drowning or a celebration. It's all perspective. Trust me, I know it wasn't easy. That's why I'm sharing with you what I know. I hope this helps, and I'll see you real soon.